My friend, let us explore together something that has become perhaps the most pervasive addiction of our time, though we rarely call it by its proper name. You wake in the morning, and before your feet touch the floor, your hand is already reaching for your phone. You check Instagram, scroll through Facebook, scan Twitter, watch TikTok videos, all before you have even fully awakened to your own existence. Throughout the day, you return to these platforms again and again, sometimes consciously, often compulsively, always with the promise that this time you will find something that satisfies the restless craving that drives you back. But what is this craving? Why do these digital platforms hold such power over your attention, your time, your very sense of reality? And why, despite the momentary entertainment they provide, do you often feel more empty, more anxious, more disconnected after using them than before you began? Watch what happens when you pick up your phone with the intention of checking something specific. Perhaps you want to look up a restaurant's hours or send a quick message to a friend. But somehow, 40 minutes later, you find yourself deep in a social media rabbit hole, watching videos of people you do not know, reading opinions about topics that do not directly affect your life, comparing your reality to the carefully curated highlights of strangers. How did this happen? You had a specific purpose, yet you were hijacked by algorithms designed specifically to capture and hold your attention for as long as possible. This is not an accident, my friend. These platforms are engineered by teams of neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, and data scientists who understand the human mind's vulnerabilities better than you understand them yourself. They know that your brain is wired to seek novelty, to crave social validation, to fear missing out on important information. They exploit these natural tendencies, creating systems that trigger the same neural pathways activated by gambling, drugs, and other addictive substances. But the trap is not really in the technology itself. The trap is in your relationship with your own restlessness, your own boredom, your own discomfort with simply being present to your life as it actually is. Social media provides an endless stream of distraction from the simple reality of this moment. When you feel lonely, you scroll through images of other people's social gatherings. When you feel insecure, you seek validation through likes and comments. When you feel bored, you consume entertainment created by others rather than discovering what interests you in your immediate environment. Consider a typical lunch break at work. Instead of eating your meal with attention, tasting your food, enjoying a moment of quiet in your busy day, you scroll through your phone while eating, consuming information and entertainment while your body consumes nutrition. You are physically present in the lunchroom, but psychologically you are scattered across dozens of different virtual locations. Your friends' vacation photos, a political argument between strangers, a celebrity's personal drama, advertisements for products you do not need. This fragmentation of attention has become so normal that you may not realize how it affects your capacity to be present to your own life. When you are constantly consuming other people's experiences through screens, when do you have time to notice your own experiences? When you are always looking at life through the lens of how it might appear to others on social media? When do you experience life directly, without the filter of performance and presentation? Notice what happens when you go somewhere beautiful, perhaps a sunset at the beach or a quiet moment in a garden. The immediate impulse might be to photograph it, to share it, to capture it for social media. But in that moment of reaching for your phone, you step out of the direct experience of beauty and into the role of content creator. You begin seeing the sunset not as a moment of natural wonder to be appreciated, but as raw material for your online image. The experience becomes secondary to its potential documentation and sharing. This constant documentation of life creates a peculiar form of alienation. You become a spectator of your own existence, always one step removed from direct experience, always thinking about how your life appears to others rather than how it feels to you. Your memories become stored in your phone rather than in your heart and mind. Your relationships become performances for an invisible audience of followers and connections. The social comparison that social media enables is particularly toxic to inner peace. You see your friend's promotion announcement and immediately feel inadequate about your own career progress. You view vacation photos and feel guilty about not traveling more. You see perfectly arranged homes and feel ashamed of your own living space. You observe others' relationships and question your own. This constant comparison steals your capacity to appreciate what you have, to find contentment in your unique path, to recognize the abundance that may already exist in your life. But these comparisons are based on illusion, my friend. Social media presents a carefully curated highlight reel, not reality. People share their successes, not their struggles. They post their best photos, not their ordinary moments. They present their relationships during good times, not during conflicts. You are comparing your inner reality, which includes all your doubts, fears, and imperfections, to others' carefully constructed external presentations. This is like comparing your rough draft to someone else's published work and wondering why yours seems inferior. The addiction to social media also feeds on the fear of missing out, the anxiety that something important is happening elsewhere, and you need to stay constantly connected to avoid being left behind. But examine this fear closely. What are you actually missing? Most of what appears in your social media feeds is forgotten within hours.
The urgent news that seemed so important yesterday is replaced by different urgent news today. The conversations and controversies that consumed your attention last week are no longer relevant this week.
Meanwhile, while you are scrolling through these digital distractions, you are missing what is actually happening in your immediate environment. You miss the changing light in your room as the day progresses. You miss the expression on your child's face when they try to tell you something. You miss the feeling of peace that might arise if you simply sat quietly for a few minutes without consuming information or entertainment. The notifications that constantly interrupt your day create a state of chronic partial attention. You are never fully present to any single activity because part of your mind is always monitoring for the next ping, the next update, the next piece of digital stimulation. This fragmented attention affects your ability to think deeply, to be creative, to be present in relationships, to experience the simple satisfaction that comes from completing tasks with focused attention. Consider how social media affects your evening routine. Instead of winding down naturally as the day ends, you lie in bed, scrolling through your phone, exposing your brain to blue light that disrupts sleep patterns, consuming stimulating information just when your nervous system needs to settle into rest. You read about global crises you cannot solve, political arguments that increase stress rather than inform, social dramas that have nothing to do with your actual life. This information overload before sleep often leads to insomnia, anxiety, and restless dreams filled with the digital noise you consumed before closing your eyes. The algorithmic nature of social media creates another layer of entrapment. These systems learn your preferences and feed you more of what you have engaged with in the past, creating echo chambers that reinforce your existing beliefs and biases. This can make the world seem more polarized than it actually is, because you are primarily exposed to viewpoints that either confirm your existing opinions or provoke you to engage through disagreement. The nuanced, moderate voices that might offer wisdom and balance are often drowned out by the more extreme content that generates stronger reactions and more engagement. But perhaps the deepest trap of social media is how it replaces authentic human connection with simulated social interaction. You can spend hours engaging with people online while feeling increasingly isolated and lonely. The likes, comments, and shares provide a dopamine hit that mimics real social bonding, but without the depth, vulnerability, and genuine intimacy that nourish the human heart. You may have hundreds of online connections while feeling that no one truly knows or understands you. Real relationships require presence, patience, and the willingness to be bored sometimes, to sit through uncomfortable silences, to work through conflicts face to face. Social media relationships can be turned off with a swipe, ended without explanation, managed through careful presentation rather than honest communication. This creates a habit of superficial engagement that can carry over into offline relationships, making it more difficult to form deep, lasting connections with the people in your physical environment. The constant stimulation of social media also affects your tolerance for solitude and silence. When you are accustomed to constant digital input, being alone with your own thoughts can feel uncomfortable, even anxiety-provoking. You reach for your phone, not because you need information or connection, but because you cannot bear the simple experience of being present with yourself without external entertainment or distraction. Yet solitude is essential for self-understanding, for creativity, for inner peace. It is in quiet moments, when you are not consuming other people's thoughts and experiences, that your own wisdom and insight have space to emerge. When you are always filling silence with digital noise, you miss the opportunity to hear your own inner voice, to understand what you actually think and feel, rather than absorbing the endless stream of other people's opinions and experiences. The commercial nature of social media platforms adds another dimension to the trap. You are not really the customer of these services. You are the product being sold to advertisers. Your attention, your data, your behavioral patterns are harvested and sold to companies that want to influence your purchasing decisions. The content you see is carefully designed not just to engage you, but to make you dissatisfied with your current life so that you will buy products and services to fill the artificially created sense of lack. This constant exposure to advertising, often disguised as content or recommendations from friends, creates a perpetual state of desire for things you do not actually need. You see influencers promoting products, friends sharing their purchases, advertisements disguised as organic content, all designed to make you feel that your life would be better if you just bought the right things, traveled to the right places, looked the right way. Breaking free from the social media trap begins with honest recognition of how these platforms actually make you feel. After spending time scrolling through your feeds, do you feel more connected or more isolated? More informed or more confused? More content or more anxious? More present to your life or more disconnected from it? This honest assessment, without judgment, but with clear seeing, is the beginning of freedom. You might experiment with creating boundaries around your social media use. Perhaps you could designate specific times for checking these platforms rather than responding to every notification immediately. You could remove social media apps from your phone so that accessing them requires more intentional effort. You could create device-free zones in your home, such as the bedroom or dining room, where real-life activities and relationships take priority over digital engagement. But the deepest freedom comes not from external restrictions, but from understanding why you reach for these platforms in the first place. What are you seeking? Connection, validation, information, entertainment, distraction from uncomfortable feelings? Once you understand the underlying need, you can find healthier ways to meet it. real conversation with friends instead of scrolling through their posts, reading books instead of consuming fragmented digital content, taking walks in nature instead of viewing nature photos online, creating things yourself instead of passively consuming other people's creations. As our exploration concludes, I invite you to notice what you are experiencing right now. Is there an urge to check your phone, to see if anyone has messaged you, to look at social media? Can you observe this urge without immediately acting on it in the space between impulse and action? You discover your freedom. You are not compelled to respond to every digital stimulus, not obligated to stay constantly connected, not required to document and share every experience. You can choose presence over distraction, authentic connection over digital simulation, your own direct experience over other people's curated presentations. This choice is available in every moment, offering you the possibility of reclaiming your attention, your time, and your life from the endless scroll of virtual reality back to the richness of actual reality.